So this is another of our Durham Lords coaches series. We have men's baseball head coach Darryl Reid on with us today. We've done a few of these already, and through the previous ones we've done, we have some questions that kind of keep coming up. That seem to be of most interest. So I'm going to work through those questions right now, and yeah, hopefully we're able to give a bunch of information. So question number one for Coach Darryl here. You haven't necessarily had the opportunity to get going with your team schedule because we lost last season, but we get this season back. So can you give us an idea of what a typical week for the men's baseball team might be like during in season? You've been an assistant, you've led club teams. I know you have a plan in place. So what would that be like?
Yeah. So essentially, I mean, everybody I think is excited to get started. Just again, being off and kind of being out of our own routines that we're used to. So again, the main thing is making sure the athletes are comfortable with school, making sure they have everything taken care of on that end. And then again, it's practice. We'll probably practice 4 to 5 days, and then our game schedule is either we'll have 1 to 2 double headers a week, depending on which week it is. And then it's just balancing, the classroom, making sure everything's taken care of there, rest, and making sure everybody's physically okay, and then working on the things we need to work on. So a lot of skill work, and then a lot of gameplay, whether it's simulation or inter squad throughout the week, depending on what specific athletes need to get work in. So and again, learning especially for the incoming freshmen, just learning to balance both, making sure they don't get behind in class. I think that's the big key. It's busy and it's new for a lot of people, so making sure that they're taken care of, and implementing kind of a study hall or an organized, making sure their week is nice and organized and they know what's coming up so that they don't get behind. So that's kind of the plan for this year and moving forward.
Zeroing in a bit from there, a question that comes up a lot is specific to practices. So can you kind of break down how you schedule practices and what practices are kind of like, all the way from when athletes might be showing up to do any pre-practice AT stuff all the way to the end?
Yeah, so definitely we'll be position specific in what their needs are. So we'll have basically 2 days a week where we'll run through more of a skill focus, making sure their infielders are taking ground balls, outfielders fly balls, and catchers getting in their work, and then as well as the pitchers are on a specific program as well. So making sure that each individual position gets their work in, and then one to 2 days would be our what we call our team defense days, and those are either going to be organized scrimmages or process scrimmages that we'd work through, or just specifically just again working on cuts, relays, bunt defense, first and third, things like that. So those team days is when we basically look at our gameplay for the week and figure out what we need to work on, and then the team or individual defense is going to be more of a structure where, again, just the daily routine of getting their work in is kind of the plan. So and again, it's making the most efficient use of time. So sometimes on a pitcher day, if it's a throw day for them, they'll come in, get their work in, and they can leave and go get their all their stuff they need for the classroom done. And then those team defense days, that's when everybody will be there, and we'll work through all those things that we need to as a group.
Moving on from there, my background here is our home diamond, Kinsman Stadium. Can you talk a little bit about the facilities, the stadium itself, the team room, and then also some of the extras, obviously the batting cages at the field house and things like that the Durham Lords varsity athletes are able to take advantage of?
Yeah, I mean, that's something I think that we're quite lucky to have, to be perfectly honest. The facilities are probably one of the best in Ontario, if not the best, and we're extremely grateful to have it. And again, it allows our guys to do everything they need to in a variety of different ways. So I mean, there's the cages at the field. We're lucky enough to have the field house in the off season, with a cage there, as well as plenty of room to get all our work in. And again, they have their own locker room with stalls, and kind of give that professional feel, and that it's a nice place to go. So again, I think that's a big thing. There's a lot of time that they put into it at the field. It's nice to go to a place that's well taken care of, and we can get everything that we need to get done. I think it's a bonus for us for sure.
And a deep outfield wall, so a little bit of
Yeah,
home advantage there.
exactly. It's nice. It's fun to pitch there. I would say it's more of a definitely a pitcher friendly field for sure. And then if you can run offensively, it's a nice it's a nice place to use the whole field for sure.
Moving on to athletic therapy. So Durham College is a bit unique that every single one of the varsity teams has two student trainers or student athletic therapists embedded with the team throughout your guys' season. They're there at your practices. They go with you guys on the road game. And then anything additional, the athletes are able to utilize our athletic therapy rooms with Saul and Allison. So can you just talk a little bit about the advantages of athletic therapy and how it's maybe benefited some of the teams you've already been a part of at Durham previously?
Definitely. I mean, it's really they become part of the whole team in the group. There's somebody that again, it's huge to have that. Not it's not something that I'm comfortable with in the background with knowing those type of things. So having them on the staff is huge for us. It's a great resource. And then also just for their own development as well. So if they're trying to get into things, in the off season, some of our trainers, they're leading our warm-ups and our pre-workouts and all those kind of things. So again, everybody's trying to do something with it. So we definitely take advantage of them and their expertise and what they want to do as well. But there's definitely a good, it's a good resource to have for us and then the players so they can remain healthy and kind of taking the guesswork out of what might be wrong with them. If they are feeling some pain, there's somebody there that kind of has a good understanding of what's happening. So definitely somebody we're grateful for to have and we utilize their expertise to help us stay healthy on the field.
And they're always stocked up on ice for the shoulders and elbows, that's for sure.
Exactly, for sure.
Moving on to a question that came up quite a bit from our previous sessions. A lot of people would just ask how to deal with academic conflicts. So you guys might be hitting the road to go to Lambton or all the way down to Windsor on a Friday, and someone might have to miss a class. So can you just talk a little bit about how athletes can deal with those academic conflicts from the beginning of the year all the way through?
Definitely. So I mean, the first thing is just to make sure it's the number one priority. That's why that's why the students are there, is to learn. They are student athletes for sure. So that's the main thing, is that it is the number one priority. And then communication. So communication on both ends, whether, sometimes there's going to be classes that they need to be at and they're going to have to miss baseball for that day. And we just deal with it. And then the key is always going to be communication. So the schedule, all the athletes have their schedule, the practice schedule and game schedule well in advance. So as soon as the athletes have that in their hand, it's basically commuting to their teachers, hey, these are our potential conflicts. If we can get out of that day, that would be great. And again, just making sure that we communicate that is number one, so that there's nothing last minute coming up that a teacher's going to be kind of caught off guard, or us as a coaching staff will be caught off guard. Everybody will know well in advance whether or not they can make that day with us or in their classroom. So communication and being prepared and knowing what's ahead is going to be the key to balance both.
Yeah, and I always say the great thing about sports is, like you mentioned, they get the schedule way ahead of time. So no teacher should be surprised, because first day of class, you can get in there. We have a professor letter that all our varsity athletes can use and present to their teachers to let them know, like, hey, I'm on a varsity team. This is our schedule. Just so you know, we're going to be out of here. I might miss a Friday, or in terms of midterms, there's also options to reschedule and work through with our academic support officer, Michael Duggan, to try and figure out things like that. So there's lots of ways to work around academic conflicts. But like you mentioned, the biggest key is just communication from the very beginning.
Yeah, and definitely, I don't know if you're going to ask this or not, but I mean, even just the fact that there's so many people there, if athletes are struggling to get help with some tutors and things like that. So there's definitely access to a number of things. So again, the environment is set so that they can be successful both on the field and off the field, and it's just a matter of taking advantage of those resources you have.
And baseball, the last few years too, have had the highest individual GPA there with I think it was Griffin had 2 years in a row. So
yeah, no, that's good. That's what we want. That's what we're gonna post is we do well in the classroom as well. So that's good for them. It's hard to balance both. So the ability to do that, and again, like I mentioned before, we'll make sure that, you know, they're prepared each week so that they know exactly what's coming up, as well as having a long-term schedule.
Moving on to some things more sport specific and for recruits, thinking about someone that might be coming to Durham College out of high school or from another club or from another institution or anything like that. What's something sport specific that they can work on, say, for that year leading up to when they come to the school in the fall?
I think the biggest thing is being prepared physically. Again, I think there's a variety of age range that we will compete against, and who, you know, on our team, as well as who we'll play against. So some players are, you know, they're older, they're bigger, they're stronger. So I think paying attention to strength is a big deal when their body is ready to. And then again, it's just a matter of, you know, at least for me specifically, I'm big on work ethic and how you play, and the things that you do, and creating the good habits. So the more you can do that, you know, throughout the last couple of years of high school remaining, doing those little things correctly, I think that's the key, to be able to, you know, not only make any varsity team, but just to be able to play and compete, you know, actually in the competition. So but being strong, being prepared athletically, I think that's the key, and remaining mobile and athletic. I think that can help. You know, just locking in on one specific thing is sometimes a little bit, it can be a negative impact sometimes. So we just want to make sure that our players are as athletic as possible, and are able to compete with some of the kids that may be, you know, 2, 3, 4 years older.
Yeah, there's definitely an age range for OCAA baseball, that's for sure.
Yeah.
When you do have the opportunity to go out and maybe watch some athletes with their clubs or any other teams and stuff like that, what is it that you do look for when you do go scout?
Athleticism and movement is number one. In a baseball game, it's so hard to see, you know, their exact skill level that they have. I mean, you know, if you're a big power hitter, then the other team may be pitching around you. So again, you know, it's trying to display the things that you can do, you know, the most often in a game. So again, some speed guys, you know, some guys, if they ground out, you know, they get upset and they jog down the line, those kind of things. So looking for movements, in between innings, how you run out on the field, all those things. Obviously skill level is high. That's something that you have to be able to play the game for sure. But when, you know, in those moments of, if a coach or recruiter is watching you, you know, sometimes you don't get to display everything you can in the game. You got to do it in between innings, whether it's hustling out on the field, you know, throwing with your partner, whatever the case may be. You have to show what you can do the entire game, both during the game and then on the sidelines as well. So but again, I like for me personally, I just like players who can play and work hard, and you know, not afraid to get dirty and move around. So that's what I'm looking for all the time. And again, we tend to take the best athletes and baseball players available, regardless of position. So you know, if they can play multiple things, that's great. But we look for, you know, again, the most athletic people that we can find.
For you in particular, you've had the full range of experiences at Durham. So you've been an athlete, you've been an assistant with a national championship team here at Durham, and now head coach. Can you just kind of zero in maybe on one thing that you think really stands out about Durham?
Yeah, it's something where it was, you know, I still, you know, I'm in contact with the players I played with. In fact, I was talking to somebody who's now a recruiting coordinator at Brock University, who we played with, and still in contact with him, going and then seeing it in 2011 or 10, 11, and 12, the closeness of that group. And then just briefly in my first season as a head coach, is I find that the players are pretty close. You can see the relationships being formed. And it's so important. I think that's the main part of it, is that, you know, they kind of come together. Some players don't know each other, but they, you know, they create lifelong friendships. And I think that's something that, you know, I played in 97 to 2001, and I'm still in contact with many of those players I played with. So I think that's the big key is, I mean, yeah, we remember stuff on the field for sure. But it's definitely the relationships being formed. And again, I was part of some really good teams and part of teams that didn't do very well, but it's the same relationships that are developed over the years for sure. And again, I think the consistency of, Ken and his staff making sure that, it's a fun place to play, and you're treated very well as a student athlete at Durham, and that's the one thing that has remained. Budgets can get bigger, smaller as the years go on, but you're definitely taken care of as an athlete, and that's something that I don't think I realized when I played how appreciative I was until after, and then you start saying, "Oh, hey, this is a pretty cool spot to be," and I think as the years go on, the players are definitely more appreciative of what they are and the opportunities they are given there.
And I can kind of echo that last little bit too, where you mentioned just how fun it seems like the baseball team's having, from being a work study student and watching years ago to now being at almost every single one of the home games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like 100%, it seems like the baseball team might be one of the teams that has the most fun all the
Yeah.
time. Like
Yeah.
they're hooping and hollering, they're ready to go.
Yeah, that's good. It's a long time you're together, and not the competition time in the game is, you're there for 3 hours. There's only about 20 minutes of pure action or so. So again, it's figuring out how to handle those downtimes is the key.
So last one on here is just any final tips you might have for someone thinking about jumping into college athletics?
I think the biggest thing, no matter what level of play it is and what your dreams and aspirations are, baseball is a sport specifically for sure that a lot of people dream and desire to go to the U.S. and that's great for them. A lot of wonderful programs out there, but I think the biggest thing to do is to make sure that if you whether it's a dream to come to Durham or to play the OCAA, or maybe it's a different turn. Maybe it was to go to the NCAA and play in the U.S. Coming in and taking it serious, I think, is the best part. The competition's very good, and if you go in there kind of thinking that you may be better than it, I think people will get humbled really quick. We've had a lot of ex-pros play in the league, and they do well, but again, they're another player in the league at that moment. So that's the one thing that I've noticed from again, late 90s. Up till now, there's a lot of really good players that play in the league. And if you come in there ready to work, you'll do well. If you go in there thinking that maybe it's a little bit beneath you, I think sometimes you can get humbled really quick in that league. So it's a great competition, both from coaching in it, playing in it, and it's something that people should be proud of to be part of it. And it's a really good and competitive environment to be in.
Awesome. Thank you. So is there anything extra, Anthony, there that we might not have touched on, or any questions that popped to your head while we were going through all that?
Honestly, I didn't think I had as many questions as I did when you were going off. When you were asking so many questions, I was like, wait, I should ask that. I should ask that. I should ask that.
And that, well, you know what? We've done 4 or 5 of these now. So we've seen a number of recruits. And so I think this is the best encapsulation of all those questions that do come up. So hopefully we were able to help fill in some blanks there for you.
Yeah, you did. I was wondering if there was any time before tryouts happened, if I could reach out to you personally and just ask for some tips, or like what you think I could do better, if I could send you some videos, or like even meet you in person just to show you where I'm at before tryouts.
Yeah,
see if I can improve on anything like when I get the tryouts.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to take the video, all that kind of stuff. It's something that for sure is something, sometimes you're looking for specific things. Sometimes, again, it's just looking for, like we said, like one specific skill will work, or having the ability to do everything. So definitely you can reach out and send the video. I mean, we are in video world. That's basically how, all the recruiting is done in this moment right now. Can't wait to get out on the field to go and watch people play again. So it's kind of a different thing, but definitely happy to look at the video and give you any kind of feedback I can, for sure.
I've thrown Coach Darryl's email into the chat for you as well, so you probably just copy and paste from there.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Thank you very much. I was just about to ask for that.
Yeah, Yeah,
Yeah,
fire.
because
Great.
thank you. With COVID now, it's like you can't play, can't go anywhere. So it kind of just like
Exactly.
took out a lot of us. I remember
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah,
That's
But
okay.
I'm happy
I,
now that games are back on.
I've caught a bunch of our DC baseball guys. They're sitting there going to parks and throwing the ball around and stuff now. So now's the time to start getting out there again, and things are looking good.
Yeah, no, me and my friends, we usually practice down at Airqual. Like we'll do batting practice, pitching, and field whatever and whatever. Sometimes we'll even play mini games, depending on how many of us come out. Just for the fact that we love the game and we love it. But now with COVID, it's like, oh, can't go here because someone's gonna do something. Can't go here because someone's gonna videotape you. So you got to be like very precautious of what you do now. But I appreciate the time for answering my questions.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Thank
Have a
you
good
very
one.
much. You too.